Good evening. My name is Dennise Simone, and I am a fourth-year Ministerial student with the Holmes Institute School of Consciousness Studies and Spiritual Leadership. What I'd like to talk about today is a few ways, basic ways, to start moving ourselves to a healthier lifestyle. What would happen if I told you you only had a few minutes to live? Someone else told you that? Because it's the truth. We do all only have a few minutes left to live. It may be 2 million moments. It may be a few less. It may be a few more. But what counts is that we live each moment fully, completely, mindfully. There are many names for this kind of living, and for tonight, I'm just going to choose the simplest one and call it mindfulness. The ideas I'd like to share with you tonight come from the June choice of book for the CSL Greater Las Vegas, which is Full Catastrophe Living, using the wisdom of your body and mind to face stress, pain, and illness, by Jon Kabat-Zinn. What if I also told you that those few moments you have left to live can be increased? In the preface of this book, Thich Nhat Hanh says that as countless people have discovered over the past 25 years, mindfulness is the most reliable source of peace and joy. Anyone can do it. And it's become increasingly clear that not only our health and our well-being as individuals, but our continuation as a civilization and a planet depend on it. Well, I'd have to agree with that. How about you? But how do we do that? I don't know about you, but my life is not lived in a rose-colored bubble. I have a lot going on. It feels like just as I put out one fire and wipe the sweat and the soot and the ashes from my brow, another fire starts. But there is hope. There is hope. So first, from the book, I would like to lay out a definition for mindfulness. That would be the intentional cultivation of attention and sustaining it over a disciplined period of time. First off, the book lines out the attitudinal foundation of mindfulness in 7 steps, meaning the basic life attitudes that don't undermine but instead enhance our mindfulness. Each worth a good 20-minute talk on its own. But I would just like to list them here because they really are quite foundational. Number 1, non-judgment of anything. Where have we heard that before? Patience. I know you're saying, get on with it. How do I get a dose of this mindfulness medicine? Number 3, a beginner's mind. We don't know it all. We don't have all the answers. We have to be beginners in starting a new practice. Trust, not only in the divine, but in ourselves, in our minds, in our bodies, in our ways of making ourselves and keeping ourselves healthy and living in this moment by moment. Non-striving. No more trying to get anything ever, and an acceptance of the way things are. And finally, just a letting go. I know that's a hard part for me. Now that we know what the attitudes are, how do we intentionally cultivate our attention and sustain it in a disciplined way? Heck, I'm already tired from those 7 attitude adjustments. I don't know about you. But right there is the key. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. this mindfulness stuff just seems like a lot of hard work and a lot of stuff I don't want to do. That's it. The mind chatter, the monkey mind that is running you and not giving you the opportunity to run yourself. So right there, in that moment, we stop. We listen. We take a deep breath. Heck, take 3 deep breaths. And notice what that monkey mind is doing. So now let's take a look at 3 simple first steps to helping us slow down and be more mindful, because that really is the first step. The power of breathing. How that thing we do from the moment of birth to the moment of death can be one of the best and most basic keys for living in the present moment, and your unexpected ally in the healing process. Poets and scientists alike are aware that our organism, our body, pulsates with the rhythms of its ancestry, which all begin with the breath. Because it is so basic to our makeup. So it makes perfect sense that just by being fully aware of our breath and bringing our attention back to our breath, we can bring back that sense of well-being, that sense of inner well-being and health that is so vital to everything we do in a day. This exchange, disposal of waste on the out-breath, renewal with each in-breath. It can be a fitting way to bring us back into where we truly want to be. So we breathe in the love, and breathe out the stress. Breathe in the love and breathe out that stress. And so on forever. That simple exercise of breathing in and breathing out mindfully can actually bring us back to exactly where we want to be, where we intend to be, where that mindful state for us is. And if we pay attention to our breath, we notice that it is always changing to match our mood, to match our emotions, to match our exertions. So now we have some conscious control over our breathing in and out, which is why it plays such an extremely important role in meditation, our next tool. Meditation in its many, many forms. No doubt if you are listening to me talk right now, you have heard of, are curious about, have experimented with, have tried, you're an avid meditator. There are a myriad of ways to meditate: sitting, breathing, walking, yoga, guided, retreats, intensives. Just so many ways to experience meditation. It's kind of become a cultural phenomenon. But is it really? In the Science Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes, our founder, mentions meditation 26 times. And his instructions are for each of us to meditate daily. At one point, he calls it the pause. We pause to realize the presence of the all-power. There must be something to this cultural phenomenon because it has become some sort of a cultural phenomenon. For me, the key is to personalize it. I can't tell you how many times I've been told to put both feet firmly on the floor and close my eyes to ground myself. When the truth is, I don't relax that way. I relax when I sit in the old-fashioned Indian style. Heck, until I turned 50, I was in a full lotus position every time I meditated, because that's what grounded me. that's what made me feel right. Because I feel like meditating is as personal as how you brush your teeth or which pillow you like when you're sleeping. So the key is to make your meditation time your own, to personalize it, to love it, to enjoy it, to make it feed your soul. It's not a fashion show. It's not something to talk about over the water cooler or coffee. It's your own personal practice. So it's time to let go of that chatter of the world, of that chatter in your mind, and belly up to this bar of mindfulness that gets us where we want to be. It's not a competition. I remember once going to my own personal practitioner, who I love, adore, and have been seeing for over 13 years. And she asked me about my meditation practice. I proudly told her I meditate twice a day, every day for 20 minutes. And she told me, well, you need to work that up to 30 minutes each time, or it's really not doing much good. I thought, oh, shoot, I failed again. But it wasn't a failure, because my 20 minutes twice a day serves me. And I'm not going to lie to you or bring out that I'm always perfect, that this 20 minutes twice a day happens unfailingly. You can set the clock by it. Sometimes it's 5 minutes twice a day. Sometimes it's 2 minutes once and 15 minutes another. But it's what serves me. It's my personal practice. And I think as long as, I truly believe, as long as you are making your practice personal and it's feeding your soul and it's bringing you peace, it's the right practice for you. So I'm not saying I never fall short. It happens. And it also happens at times that I lay for an hour under my favorite tree in the yard for at least an hour and just watch and listen to the leaves. So that brings us to our next tool, nature. Being in nature is spiritual practice on its own. And I'll be completely honest on this one as well. I am not one of you physical fitness type people. If I want to work out, I clean the house. I don't run, I don't bike, I don't yoga, I don't walk, if I want to be in nature, I lay under the tree. I sit on a fishing bank with a rod in my lap. Water is my spiritual practice. In every room of my house, there is some semblance of water. In the front yard, it's a koi pond. In the backyard, it's a fountain brimming with water and sound and greenery around it. Until it didn't serve us peacefully anymore, we had a saltwater tank in the living room of our house. But then the maintenance came more than the peace, and we let that saltwater tank go. But in every room of the house, there's pictures of my husband and I in the water, enjoying the water, dives we've taken, vacations we've been on. The water brings us peace. Find your peace. Find your peace, whatever it is that brings you closer to your center, and make that your nature. Heck, I'm an orchid aficionado. I have orchids in almost every room of the house, but every Saturday, they all make their way to the kitchen, where I set them all in the sink and I prune them and I bathe them and I talk to them and I love them. I have orchids that I've had for 7 or 8 years that still bloom every year. That's my nature fix. I'm in Colorado, and in Colorado, I'm not much for the cold. I know I live in the wrong place, but I can open the window over my kitchen sink and I can listen to the water fountain from the koi pond, or I can play with my orchids, or I can turn on some meditation music that includes ocean sounds, And that brings me back to the center. So that point is find your piece of heaven, whatever serves you, and feed that, but not as a chore. If it becomes a chore, it's no longer a treat. It's no longer a spiritual practice. So be mindful, be present, be completely where you are in the moment. So these tips for mindfulness living, for what does Mr. Zen call it? The mindfulness-based stress reduction program. Does it work? It's no secret that stress is a major contributing factor to heart disease, to cancer, to many other ailments that fill our doctor's offices and our hospital beds. So I'd like to share my own personal story about this. 1.5 years ago, my best friend since I was a young teenager dropped dead in her kitchen from a heart attack at 56 years old. It was a wake-up call for me. I had been having heart-related symptoms for several months, and I was too afraid to go to the doctor. I would just try to walk them away, meditate them away, think them away, whatever it took to get me through them. But when Patsy dropped dead, I went to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, I was told that I should have been in an emergency room months before. So I bought myself a ticket directly to the cardiologist office, who told me the same thing. And 4 days later, I had angioplasty at 56. And I was scared. And the cardiologist found that I had 4 major blockages in the coronary arteries directly around my heart. The most dangerous of them, they call the widowmaker, had a 99% blockage in my main coronary artery, which they stented at that time. But because that one was so bad, it made it too dangerous to do anything about the other ones. So when that was finished and I sat for my 8 hours in the hospital recovery room because they wouldn't let me move, I asked, how do I get rid of those other blockages? And the cardiologist says, you don't. Once you have them, you have them. And all we can do is control them with lifestyle changes so that they don't get any bigger. So I submitted to intensive cardiac rehab and diet changes and lifestyle changes, none of which I found particularly pleasant. However, after a year, I went back and I had a cardiac CT scan. Was not a pleasant experience. The day before Thanksgiving. So I had to wait 48 hours instead of 24 to get results. When the technician called me back, she explained that my stent was working perfectly and nothing left to worry about. That it was working perfectly and my blood was flowing. And I said, but what about the other blockages? And she said, what other blockages? 2 weeks later, I had my follow-up appointment with the cardiologist. And she told me pretty much the same exact thing. And I asked her, what about the other blockages? You told me once they're there, they never go away. She said, I was going to ask you the same question. What happened to those? And I said, well, I followed your directions and I took the medications. She said, but those don't make the blockages go away. I said, I spent a full year in prayer, in meditation, in energy work, in chakra work, in Reiki work, just to make them be less daunting to me. And she said, well, they're gone, and that doesn't happen. So I'm here to tell you that regardless of what you're going through or what you have been through or what your symptoms or diagnosis may be, there can be an answer. And it's as simple as syncing your mind, your body, your heart, and your higher consciousness into one.
Here at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas, we are a mission and vision-driven community. We offer transformative educational opportunities, deep and meaningful moments of connection, uplifting Wednesday and Sunday services. We greatly appreciate your contributions that support the amazing work we're doing here in Southern Nevada. We have several easy ways you can contribute. We have text to give. Simply text the amount of your donation to our text to give number, and you'll be prompted to enter your information. There's a link to our online donation page posted below this video where you can contribute by debit or credit card. And of course, you're always welcome to send a check to our office if that works better for you. All of your contributions go to support the great work that we're doing here in Greater Las Vegas community.
When you're done with the pain, you can't take it anymore. Look up, look higher, look deeper. When you know it's the end and pain's your only friend, look up, look higher, look deeper. One more try, one more day, one more move to a better day. Close your eyes one more time. Say the words and you will fly. When frustration sets in and you cannot see the end, look up, look higher, look deeper. When you wanna run and shout, but you know you can't reach out, look up, look higher, look deeper. One more try, one more day, one more move to a better day. Close your eyes one more time. Say the words and you will fly. You'll fly. I'm no longer in pain. I'm whole again. I'm up, I'm higher, I'm deeper. No more pain. I'm whole once again. I'm up, I'm higher, I'm deeper. No more pain. I'm whole once again. I'm up, I'm higher, I'm deeper. I am love, I am peace. I'm up, I'm higher, I'm deeper. I'm up, I'm higher, I'm deeper. I'm up, I'm higher.
The monthly publication, Science of Mind magazine, is a treasure to be read and contemplated. Along with in-depth articles, there is a day-to-day spiritual support to be gleaned from its daily guides. Licensed practitioner Lynn Frankenberger hosts Adventures in Faith every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Zoom, and you're invited to join in. This is a weekly group discussion that focuses on those daily guides and how to apply them. Check Facebook and our weekly newsletter for more details. CSL Greater Las Vegas brings you much of your favorite spiritual music every Friday at 7 p.m. with spiritual soundscapes. Enjoy performances from CSLGLV vocalists along with special guest singers. It's music for your soul. Subscribe to the CSLGLV YouTube channel to get a convenient link sent to you for each musical performance. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.